In fantasy football, the difference between winning your league and losing your league could be a couple of minor mistakes you make throughout the draft. Inside today's video, I'm going to help you guys not make any mistakes in your 2025 fantasy drafts by giving you guys my top 40 running back rankings and tiers for the 2025 fantasy football season. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. So without further ado, let's get into my top 40 running back rankings and tiers for the 2025 fantasy football season. We begin with the S tier at the running back position with my running backs 1 through 4, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Christian McCaffrey. Now, Bijan Robinson did start off last season a little bit slow, but down the stretch of the season, once Michael Penix Jr. took over, the wheels were up for a huge finish out of Bijan Robinson as the RB8, the RB3, and the RB2 over the final 3 games of the season. In all 3 of those games, he scored 24 or more PPR points, and in 2 of 3 games, he had 5 targets. This is an Atlanta Falcons offense that I believe is going to be very solid in 2025. And Bijan Robinson was exactly as advertised last season. I know the guy ended up screwing you over in his rookie year because Arthur Smith ended up completely burying the value of Bijan Robinson. But once he was free from the shackles of Arthur Smith, Bijan Robinson was dominating 50 Shades of Grey style. And I see no reason why he can't dominate yet again in this offense. I feel like he is an incredibly safe pick as the RB1 is the number 2 overall pick because my first overall pick would be Jamar Chase. At number 2, my RB2 is going to be Saquon Barkley. Now, this summer, everyone is trying to make every single argument possible as why you can't draft Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon Barkley is going to get hurt. He saw too many touches last year. Saquon Barkley is on the cover of Madden. It's impossible that he could have a big season. Despite the fact that he's on one of the most run-heavy, if not the most run-heavy offense in the NFL, he has one of the best offensive lines, and he is one of the best running backs in the NFL. It shouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why Saquon Barkley is going to win leagues in 2025. So don't overthink things when it comes to Saquon Barkley. Last year, he was the running back 1 in points per game, and he could easily do it again in 2025. I see zero reason to panic off of Saquon Barkley. Don't overthink things with him. Last year, he was one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL. And again, he is in the perfect situation to do it yet again. At number 3, we have Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions. Now, last year, it was very frustrating when you would put Jahmyr Gibbs in your lineup, and sure, he would always finish incredibly well, right? RB2 in points per game last season, RB8 in points per game in 2023. But it was very frustrating because at the start of the game, for whole drives, you would just see David Montgomery out there, and Jahmyr Gibbs is just scratching his nuts on the sideline, holding the Gatorade for David Montgomery. And then when David Montgomery got tired, they would do a tag team effort, and Jahmyr Gibbs would get to go into the game. But this year, all of the reports have been that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to start the game on the field. He's not going to be chilling on the bench on some ice like a good bottle of champagne. So I think that Jahmyr Gibbs' upside really is the RB1 last season. And if something was to happen to David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs could legitimately be the RB1 by a significant margin. I really heavily believe in him. I think even losing Ben Johnson, Jahmyr Gibbs is destined for greatness, a clear top 5 running back in 2025. At number 4, we got Christian McCaffrey. Now, the only thing better than waking up to a foot job in the morning would be Christian McCaffrey falling to me at the end of the first round. Brian Robinson is there, Nick. It does not matter. I get maybe Brian Robinson will get some touches. Maybe they don't want Christian McCaffrey to be seeing a redonkulous amount of touches because he's a year older. He has this injury history. But frankly, I just don't give a fuck. In fantasy football, when I go into my draft, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to win my league. I'm not trying to be as safe as possible and get 4th place, get 3rd place, get 5th place, get 6th place. No, I want to win my league, and Christian McCaffrey is the type of running back that will win you your league. Maybe Brian Robinson gets more touches compared to what another running back 2 on the team like Isaac Guerrero would have gotten, but it's not like Brian Robinson is this elite pass-catching running back, right? He was getting his pass-catching opportunities taken away by Austin Eckler, Austin Eckler. So Christian McCaffrey is still the guy in this offense. Every single clip I've seen out of training camp, he looks like the Christian McCaffrey of the past. He has had 20-plus point-per-game finishes in 5 of his last 8 seasons, with only top 12 finishes if he played 16 or more games. So this is just another case of everyone overthinking things. Christian McCaffrey could potentially, if you wanted to draft him as the RB2, maybe even the RB1 if you're feeling real spicy, go ahead and do it. I feel that confident in Christian McCaffrey, and this news about Brian Robinson doesn't concern me one bit. Now we move on into the second tier, the A tier, with my running backs 5 through 10, Devon Achane, Ashton Jeanty, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, and Chase Brown. Now, Devon Achane did not practice this week, so people are going to get their panties in a bunch. They're going to completely panic. Now, it is important to note that he's dealing with a soft tissue lower body injury, but based upon everything that Mike McDaniel has said, they're just being precautious. They're wrapping some bubble wrap around Devon Achane so he doesn't go out there in practice, we're talking about practice, and re-aggravate the injury. So they're keeping him on ice, and then by week 1, he's going to be good to go. Now, if you're drafting in early September, late August, and maybe we have some news that, hey, maybe Devon Achane might not be good to go for week 1, then we want to backpedal on this take. But as of right now, there is nothing pointing towards Devon Achane missing week number 1. If Tua Tagovailoa is able to stay healthy, then Devon Achane could easily be the RB1 this season. Last year, with Tua healthy, Devon Achane was averaging 21.7 PPR points per game, which would rank second in terms of points per game at the running back position. So do not overthink Devon Achane. This is a guy that has some lethal hands. He is great in the receiving game. Last year, only one running back was able to score 10 plus receiving points per game, and that was Devon Achane. If Tua is healthy, Devon Achane could easily be the running back 1 in fantasy football. He was the RB6 in points per game last year, RB number 5 in points per game as a rookie in 2023 with Raheem Mostert. The Dolphins don't end up bringing in Brian Robinson, which ultimately would have played a much bigger impact compared to him joining Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers. So Devon Achane is another guy where I'm not going to overthink things. I also think if Tua was to get hurt, Zach Wilson is a much better backup, or Quinn Ewers, compared to the quarterbacks that we had last season. At number 6, we got Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was the 6th overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Had Travis Hunter not have existed, if his dad ended up pulling out instead, Ashton Jeanty would have been the Heisman winner last season. This motherfucker was averaging 185.8 rushing yards per game. I get the Raiders have a stink on him. I get Zamir White absolutely butt-fucked you, metaphorically, of course, last season. But this is Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll knows he wants to run the ball unless he's on the goal line in the Super Bowl with beast mode Marshawn Lynch up against the Patriots. So Ashton Jeanty just feels like an incredibly safe pick, especially if he falls to you inside of the second round. I'm a huge fan of Jeanty this year, and I think the Raiders offense as a whole is going to shock a bunch of people. At number 7, we got Derrick Henry of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I want to just be completely off of Derrick Henry because everything about the age cliff at the running back position points to the fact that Derrick Henry is going to fall off. He's yet another year older, and he is just destined to fall off. But frankly, Derrick Henry just doesn't seem to be playing by those rules. Derrick Henry don't give a shit. Honey Badger don't give a shit, if you remember that meme from back in the day. 18 plus point per game finish in 5 of his last 6 seasons. This is going to be, like Saquon Barkley, one of the most run-heavy offenses in the NFL. Derrick Henry gets all the goal line work, and Nick, he can't possibly score 18 touchdowns again. He probably will, even though I don't think he should, even though I think the age cliff probably should hit him. He's going to juke that shit out. It's going to be like Matrix. It's going to go slow motion. He's going to avoid the age cliff and kick you directly in the cock if you end up fading him. I still don't love taking him in the first round ahead of a guy like Jeanty or some of the wide receivers or even Devon Achane if he's fully healthy. But ultimately, I can't judge you if you like Derrick Henry, one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL last year. The guy is just immortal. At number 8, we got Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers. Just like Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs came out the gate as cold as ice. Shout out to Elsa. He came out the gate of the season, and I was telling everyone to draft him. Everyone's like, Nick, you're an idiot. I was right. You were wrong. Na poo poo, right? And then Josh Jacobs ends up finishing very strong towards the end of the season. He was the RB8 in points per game. And this is a season where Jordan Love gets hurt in Brazil against the Eagles in the first game of the season. So if Jordan Love is able to stay healthy, they're bringing Matthew Golden. Maybe the offense is percolating more, then Josh Jacobs is going to get a lot of opportunities to score touchdowns. Players with the most goal line rushes in 2024, Josh Jacobs was number one prostitute in all of Kazakhstan. Very nice. He was number one with 22 goal line rushes. This is a team that doesn't really have a lot of red zone demons at the wide receiver position. They have Tucker Kraft. He's probably the best red zone weapon outside of Josh Jacobs. So Jacobs is going to be seeing a shit ton of touches inside the red zone. And if you believe in LaFleur, like I do, if you believe in Jordan Love and this offense, you should be all over Josh Jacobs like prime Darrelle Revis was on your favorite wide receiver. At number 9, we got Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, a lot of people were worrying about Bucky Irving. A lot of people were saying that Bucky Irving was going to get potentially screwed over by Rachaad White. Now, Rachaad White is hurt, right? And people are thinking, oh, he's not going to be this workhorse running back. But even when Rachaad White was healthy, Todd Bowles, head coach of the team, said that Bucky Irving's opportunities are likely to increase substantially this season. Bowles says he expects greatness as the game has slowed down for Irving and he's improved his footwork and pass protection. Bucky Irving, 19.7 points per game in 8 games when he reached 45% of the snaps. Just 45%. I'm not talking about 70%. 80% of the snaps. 45% of the fucking snaps, nearing close to 20 points per game. He was able to steal the job from Rachaad White after the bye, which was week 12. Final 4 games, 63% of the snaps, 72% of the attempts, 100% of the work inside of the 5. Higher targets per route run compared to Rachaad White. So if he's catching more passes this season, Bucky Irving is another guy that has the path towards the crown, finishing as the RB1 atop the Iron Throne. At number 10, to close out the A tier, we got Chase Brown. Now, Chase Brown was a guy that I was oogling and ogling over all summer, but once this report came out in late July that Bengals offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher is committed to making Chase Brown a superstar this season. Chase Brown is going to, by the end of the season, be a household name, he says. He's everything Austin Eckler was. You'll all know who he was. If you know who Austin Eckler was back in the day, that motherfucker was sucking in targets with the efficiency of Leonard Paul. So I truly believe that Chase Brown is going to be seeing an immense amount of targets this season. This is a Bengals team that is going to be getting raw dogged late in games, having to throw the ball a ton, and Chase Brown will be involved a ton in that. From weeks 9 through 17, when the team truly gave him the workload, he was a top 12 running back in 6 of 8 games, top 8 in 5 of 8 games, and top 5 in 4 of 8 games. When he was the lead back on the team, he was the RB3 in points per game, averaging 20.6 in PPR. 8 games without Moss, 18.9 carries per game, 5.5 targets per game, and RB1 in expected PPR points per game. The guy can do it all. He's on a great offense. You should be very excited about Chase Brown this season. And while you might be able to get him in round 3, you probably just want to take him at the end of round 2 to secure the bag on Chase Brown, because I really think he's going to be that good. All the guys in the S tier, all the guys in the A tier, I strongly believe there is a great argument for them to finish as the RB1 overall in 2025. Moving now into the B tier, we have my RBs 11 through 13, Kyren Williams, Omarion Hampton, and Jonathan Taylor. But before we talk about these running backs and the rest of the running backs in today's video, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus funds, as well as getting my draft guide for free once you deposit $10 and play through the funds on there. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's the best place to play best ball fantasy football. You're like, Nick, what's best ball? Best ball is the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup at the end of every single week. And they have some absolutely massive contests on there. Best Ball Mania, $15 million to total prizes, $2 million to first place, $25 to enter. They also have smaller contests like the puppy, $5 to enter, $100,000 to first place. So make sure you guys do check out Underdog, promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. If you want my draft guide, you don't want to go on Underdog, or you're already on Underdog, then make sure you sign up on the Patreon, link in the video description, for $12.50. Kyren Williams of the LA Rams kicks off the B tier. Kyren Williams just got the Brinks truck backed up for him 3-year, $33 million extension. Kyren Williams, over the past 2 seasons, 2,443 rushing yards, third. 26 rushing touchdowns, tied for second. 1,622 rushing yards after contact, third. 146 first down rushes, second. PFF says that's a well-deserved payday, and I agree. Everyone going into last year wanted to fade Kyren Williams. They said, Nick, you're crazy for telling people to draft Kyren Williams. Because, Nick, he can't possibly score 15 total touchdowns again. You know what he does? He adds another one. DJ Khaled, 16 total touchdowns in 2024. The guy is shmoney. He is straight cash inside of the red zone. And sure, they have Blake Corum. They bring in Jarquez Hunter. They have the porn star Ronnie Rivers. But it doesn't fucking matter because they're going to continue to feed the ball to Kyren inside of the red zone. And with Matthew Stafford seemingly a bit banged up, they might try to run the ball a lot more this season as well. This is a guy that is legitimately one of the biggest bell cow running backs in the NFL. 88.4% of the snaps were played by Kyren Williams. That's first at the running back position. 82.8% opportunity share, second, and he was third in carries last season. I understand he's not this crazy elite pass-catching running back like prime Austin Eckler, like a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, like Christian McCaffrey, but it don't matter when you see a boatload of carries like Kyren Williams. I feel very confident in yet another very good season out of Kyren Williams. At number 12, we've got Omarion Hampton. Yesterday, the report was that Jim Harbaugh is non-committal on when Harris will be ready. Non-committal doesn't sound good. Non-committal sounds like he may not even play the first 4, 5, 6, 7. He might not even fucking play this season. And that's sad. It really is. But now there's really nothing stopping Omarion Hampton from just being the RB1 and keeping that role even when Najee Harris comes back. He had all of the ability in college at UNC. He was able to put up back-to-back seasons with over 1,500 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. The guy has all the ability. He is on a Harbaugh offense that had J.K. Dobbins, the corpse of J.K. Dobbins, looking mighty fine in a bunch of games last season. So what's Omarion Hampton going to do? A young buck out of UNC, the 22nd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Well, he is going to eat. At number 13, we've got Jonathan Taylor. Now, Jonathan Taylor is very confusing to me. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is one of the best running backs in the NFL. The quarterback position there, it's Daniel Jones, but I wouldn't be shocked if by week 7, it's Anthony Richardson, and then week 11, it is going to be Daniel Jones, and then week 15, 16, and 17, and 18, it's Anthony Richardson, right? This seems like a game of cat and mouse with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Now, if you had Jonathan Taylor last season, and you made the playoffs, you probably won your league. But if you drafted Jonathan Taylor during the regular season, he didn't really do much, averaging just 14 PPR points per game. But in the fantasy playoffs, 30.8 PPR points per game. So he was a league winner, even though he probably didn't get you into the playoffs. And with such a strong discrepancy from the first 11 games versus the final 3 games, that's where I'm concerned, right? When a player like Ladd McConkey or Cortland Sutton has a not-so-hot start to the season, first 8 games, and then the final 8, 9 games of the season, they're on top of the world, that's a good indicator that that's how the next season's going to go. But when it's just a 3-game sample size, I don't think you can be riding the nuts of Jonathan Taylor for that. Jonathan Taylor also has been banged up over the last few years. 14 games played last year, 10 the seasons prior, 11 the season prior to that. So 35 total games played over the last 3 seasons. That is not ideal. So while I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins, I'm not going to sit on here and say, oh man, it's a guarantee that Jonathan Taylor gets hurt. But I am scared about the offense. I'm scared about his overall projection for the season. So while I don't think he's like a dick cheese pick if he falls to you in like the 3rd round, where he's going at ADP, I am pretty off of. Now we move on into the C tier here. And this is where the tier expands, right? Because we just had 3 running backs inside of the B tier. In tier C, I almost said tier number C, but that wouldn't be correct. We've got Breece Hall, my RB 14, Alvin Kamara, Travion Henderson, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, and Kenneth Walker, RBs 14 through 19. The news about Breece Hall hasn't necessarily been the best. Everyone's kind of shape-shifting the argument to now be it's Braylon Allen season, but from what I've read, it seems like while Braylon Allen's going to get more use, Breece Hall is still the pass-catching running back, and we know how important in a full PPR or half PPR league catching passes is for a running back. And if Breece Hall is going to be involved that way, like he was in 2023 when he had that top 6 season in points per game, then I think that Breece Hall could be much better than people are anticipating this season. Plus, Justin Fields likes to dump the ball down. Now, Breece Hall, if you drafted him last year, he fucked you over. You got put on a t-shirt had you have drafted Breece Hall. You were immensely disappointed and your day was ruined. But I think there are brighter days ahead. I think without all these shakeups, with the head coach getting fired, Xerxes from 300, and Mr. Robert Saleh, Big Bob Saleh gets fired. Now they have Aaron Glenn. I think the team culture as a whole is just going to be significantly better. And I think Breece Hall will thrive in that. I always believe in the player, so after one down year, I'm not going to quit on him. Next up, we got Alvin Kamara. Now, Alvin Kamara is another classic case of he's too old, I can't draft him. He's too old, why would I draft him? Alvin Kamara, 7 of 8 seasons in the NFL, he has finished as a top 8 point per game finisher and was the RB5 in points per game last year in PPR. Now you might be thinking, Nick, the quarterback situation is going to be bad in New Orleans. The New Orleans Saints offense is going to be limp dick in a dire need of Viagra. And I fully agree with you. The offense is going to be dog shit, but America runs on Duncan and the New Orleans Saints run on feeding the ball to Alvin Kamara. He is going to see so many dump-offs game in and game out. It doesn't even matter how good the Saints offense is. Kamara is going to get his. He played through a broken hand for part of the season and missed 3 games with a groin injury. I think when healthy, Alvin Kamara is still one of the better running backs in the NFL. So I absolutely love the discount you're getting on him because people are so scared of the Saints offense. Back-to-back seasons as a top 5 running back in points per game. Don't quit on Kamara. At number 16, we got TreVeyon Henderson. Now the hype continues to mount and mount and mount more on top of TreVeyon Henderson as the summer goes along. I was completely off of him a couple of weeks ago, and now I am all over TreVeyon Henderson. Pause. Every single piece of coach speak about TreVeyon Henderson is essentially pulling his pants down and fucking blowing the skin flute. Everyone loves TreVeyon Henderson. Mike Vrabel has talked him up so much. There have been other reports about how the circle of the Patriots see him as a special player, a difference maker. They say that this guy's like the future best piece of this Patriots offense and a guy that Drake May is going to lean on. Every single piece, again, is so positive. Oh, he's the top performer in camp. And every clip I watch, I'm thinking I'm watching Jahmyr Gibbs, and he just got traded to the Patriots. So even with Ramondre Stevenson there, and sure, Josh McDaniels is a certified dunce, and maybe that is what holds TreVeyon Henderson back. But again, you don't win your league being a pussy. You win your league taking shots in fantasy football, taking shots like your name was Ricky Pearsall to get your Rolex back. And that's what we're doing with TreVeyon Henderson. We're taking the shot on a guy we know can play ball at a very high level, and he has flashed like his name was Barry Allen in preseason. At number 17, we got Chuba Hubbard. Now, Chuba Hubbard is kind of one of the classic examples of people just don't think he's very good, even though he proved to us last year that he was good. He played in 15 games, and 8 of them he finished as a top 12 running back. And the Panthers last year down the stretch of the season proved that Bryce Young is that guy. Bryce Young can play up to the ability, the skill set that we thought he had coming out of Alabama, the short king himself. So I think this is a Panthers offense that is really kind of just going under the radar. Like, I know everyone loves Ted McMillan, but no one's showing the same love for Chuba Hubbard, who, if you had him last season when he was healthy, you were loving it like the McDonald's slogan. His final game in Week 16 up against Arizona, the man scored 32.5 fantasy points. So despite the fact that he left a very strong taste, pause, in the mouths of fantasy owners, they just seem to forget. You know, he was 12th in true yards per carry, 6th in dominator rating, but he's not very good, right? That's just kind of the sentiment. He's not good. He versus 8+ men in the box, he ranked 6th in yards per carry with 4.31, but he's not good, guys, right? He's not good. That's what they'll say. I love Chuba Hubbard. At number 18, we got another Unk. James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals, RB11 in PPR, RB15 in PPR points per game, 4 straight seasons with 15+ PPR points per game. But again, let's fade him because James Conner's talking up Trey Benson, despite the fact that all the coaches have said earlier on in the offseason, Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon said running back James Conner is getting himself ready to carry the load for us. Then a more recent report. Last year, you said James Conner would be your workhorse back with Trey Benson's growth. Do you still feel that is James' role? Absolutely. Absolutely from late July. But now it's Trey Benson season, right, guys? Now it is, right? 16 games played last year, 6 top 12 games last season, and 8 games with 16 or more PPR points. 11th in yards per touch, 1st in juke rate, 5th in explosive rating, 6th in yards created per touch. But guys, it's Trey Benson season, right? Right? That's what they're saying. People are saying it's Trey Benson season, and those people are wrong. Last guy here is Kenneth Walker. Now, Kenneth Walker, it feels to me like on every team, you should just try to get one of these Seattle running backs. You should try to get Walker or Charbonnet, because if Walker gets hurt, Charbonnet is instantly like a top 8 running back in my rankings weekly. And if Walker's healthy, he's probably going to finish as a top 12-ish running back. But there are injury concerns with him. He's already been banged up throughout the offseason process, right? And there have been more talks about more of a closer split. But I think in this system that Clint Kubiak is throwing onto the Seattle team, it's going to lead to Kenneth Walker going fucking bananas. Absolutely feasting game in and game out. So while I'm nervous drafting Kenneth Walker, and while it is very funny to watch him play because it's all or nothing for Walker. If you ever watch the guy carry the ball, he either gets a snap and there are 8 dudes surrounding him. You ever seen that meme where the chick's sitting on the couch and there's like 6 dudes behind him and it's obviously like a porn scene and you know she's about to get fucked? That's what happens to Kenneth Walker. They hand him the ball and he's about to get plowed by 6 different dudes behind the line of scrimmage, or he's going to run 30 yards and it's going to be awesome. That is what the Kenneth Walker experience is. I like the player. I do, but I have too many injury concerns to rank him higher than this. But if he can stay healthy, man, he's going to have a good season. Now we move on into the D tier, and a lot of people will tell me that I'm a hater. They'll say, Nick, you're a hater. Why do you have James Cook so low? Is it because you're a Dolphins fan and you hate the fucking Buffalo Bills? Well, while I do hate the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen can go fuck himself, I loved James Cook last year. I talked up James Cook. I was one of the commanders. I was the conductor of the choo-choo train like my name was Bobby Bacala. I was talking up James Cook as the Thomas the Tank Engine this season as a league winner, and people were saying that, Nick, you're foolish. He can't possibly do it. He scores 3 touchdowns in 2022, 6 touchdowns in 2023. I say, you know what? If he's getting that many touches, the touchdowns are going to go up in Buffalo. And boy, do they. He scores double the amount of touchdowns that he scored in his rookie and sophomore year combined, 18 total touchdowns. But he did so on a 49.2% snap share, which ranks 35th at the running back position. He's not a big guy, 5'11", 199 pounds. He's a talented running back. He can catch passes. He's going to have a fine season, but I think where people are drafting him as like this clear top 14 running back, I suspect the touchdowns are going to fall off a little bit. And again, if you're the RB11 in points per game and you score 18 total touchdowns, that's not very good. If you score 18 total touchdowns, you should be at minimum like a top 6, top 8 running back, and he just wasn't that. So I feel like the regression is coming. At number 21, can you do something for me? We got Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, finally, people have caught on to Isaiah Pacheco. Finally, people are starting to like him, like I have been talking about all summer. Per fantasy points data, before fracturing his fibula in week 2 last season, Isaiah Pacheco was 5th among running backs in expected points per game, 19.4, and had the 7th highest route participation rate, 56.5%. He was on his way to being the bell cow back for the Chiefs. If I can get the bell cow back for the Chiefs where Pacheco is going, I'm going to take him every single fucking time. Before he ends up getting hurt, he's the RB20 and the RB16. I get that's not some league-winning numbers, but he can do better. He is the best running back in this backfield, and we expect the Chiefs offense to be good, so people are going to keep sleeping on Pacheco because, oh, he came back when he fractured his fibula, he fractured his lower leg, and he sucked dick. He wasn't good at all. Shocker, because he hurt his leg. It was a very serious injury, and we just kind of tried to hop back on him because, again, I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins. I didn't know how serious that was going to be. I said, you know what, we'll wait it out a little bit. And then he just ended up really not doing anything when he was healthy. But now, or quote-unquote healthy, now with him fully healthy, I think the wheels are up for Mr. Pacheco. Now we move on into the E tier here, which contains my running backs 22 through my running back 27. At number 22, we got Caleb Johnson, who has looked really good in preseason, in my opinion. 3rd round draft capital in the 2025 NFL draft out of Iowa. If you don't know how Iowa plays football, they rely heavily on a defense and they run the ball. They do not pass the ball. It's like watching one of those academy schools. What would they be called? Like Army, Navy, Air Force type deal where they just run the ever-living shit out of the ball. That's what the Iowa Hawkeyes do, and that's why Caleb Johnson had 240 carries last year for 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns, 22 receptions for 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 23 total touchdowns. Shout out to Michael Jordan. Now, maybe this takes a little bit of time, right? Maybe Jaylen Warren's the guy early on, but if the team wanted Jaylen Warren to be the guy, they wouldn't have drafted Caleb Johnson in the first round. Or in the third round. Sorry, I don't know why I said the first round. People are gonna crucify me for that. Well, you said the third round instead of the first round instead of the third round. People say that. People are saying they'll say that because you can't slip up at all in a video, right? Because Nick, you could have edited it out, but I think it's kind of funny when you make a slight mistake and then people talk about it. Gets more comments, and the more comments I get, the more views I get. So shout out to you for leaving a comment. I really do appreciate you. So Caleb Johnson, very talented player. The team never has believed in Jaylen Warren. It didn't matter if Najee Harris was running out there in slow motion, like there were 100-pound weights tied to each of his legs. Didn't matter because Jaylen Warren is just looked at as the side piece of the offense. Jaylen Warren will never be the guy. Maybe he will be early on in the season. Maybe because he's good in pass protection, Rodgers will have him in there a little bit more. But once Caleb Johnson works on his pass protection, he is going to take over. He looked great, in my opinion, in the eye test. Last year, he ranked 2nd in breakaway yards and 4th in yards after contact. Steelers ranked last year 4th in rushing attempts. 311 vacated opportunities with the departure of Najee Harris. Don't overthink Caleb Johnson. At number 23, we got RJ Harvey, 60th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, 2nd round draft capital, played at UCF last year as a 23-year-old, 232 carries for 1,577 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and 22 touchdowns, 20 receptions on 267 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, I think J.K. Dobbins is going to play a decent enough role early on to potentially hold back Harvey from having this super great top 12 finish, but he also looked good in preseason, and Sean Payton is typically able to get great production out of the running backs, especially a guy who I think is as good as RJ Harvey. So while I was a little bit more nervous earlier on the offseason process, a lot of the first team snaps have been going to RJ Harvey in preseason. It's kind of going to be like a 1A and 1B, but if the offense is as good as the Broncos, I think they'll be able to elevate both Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. Next up, we got David Montgomery. Now, David Montgomery just feels like the pick you make where the running backs around you scare you, the players around you scare you. I don't want to take Kelsey, or I don't want to take this tight end. I don't want to take this quarterback. I need a running back. I'm taking Montgomery. Now, I think Montgomery is going to get less usage than he has over the last 2 seasons, but you know damn well there's going to be games where he's vulturing touchdowns. You know damn well there's games where he's going to score 2+ touchdowns. He really is good. He's a great running back. Gibbs is way better, but he's still going to be involved here. If they're peeling back the workload, which again I believe is the case, I don't think he's going to finish as well as he did the last 2 years, whereas the RB 16 points per game and RB 15 points per game in 2023, but he'll probably still finish as a top 24 running back because of how many points the Lions will score. So while I don't love drafting him, I get what he is. He is a condom wrap running back on your team. At number 25, we got Tony Pollard of the Tennessee Titans. Tyjae Spears is out right now with the sprained ankle, which just opens the door for Pollard to be the guy again. It always kind of seems like they want to push Tyjae Spears more and more into this offense, and then the guy just gets hurt, and the plans are just diminished. Because I did think before Tyjae Spears got hurt, all the reports were, look how good Tyjae Spears is. Look how good he's looking. He's playing so well. And then he gets whacked out early on in preseason, and his availability for week 1 is still up in the air. And even if he's back, he's not going to be 100% himself. So Tony Pollard, again, just kind of luck boxed his way into being the RB1 on the team, where he was a top 24 running back in points per game last season, despite the fact that Mr. Will Levis was just terrorizing the team by throwing the ball directly to the defense a million times. So if Cam Ward's able to make a better version of this offense, then Tony Pollard could end up being a steal at ADP. Next up, we move to DeAndre Swift of the Chicago Bears. They've got Roshan, they've got Kyle Monagai, they've got Travis Homer Simpson, but Swift is the guy. I think this offense is going to be better with Ben Johnson, but I do have questions when they're talking about like, hey, DJ Moore is getting more work as like the running back. They're slotting him in like Deebo Samuel. Then I'm like, well, if I thought DeAndre Swift was like the clear running back, what if now DeAndre Swift's getting taken out for DJ Moore to catch passes out of the backfield? Or what if instead of in the red zone, maybe they hand it to short king DeAndre Swift, and now they're just handing it to DJ Moore, and that scares me. But, if DeAndre Swift is the lead back on the team in a Caleb Williams offense, technically a Ben Johnson offense, then he's probably going to be just fine. Final guy inside the E tier is going to be Tyrone Tracy. Now, Cam, I'm a scat man, has been back at practice, but based upon a report from Jordan Rannon, he says that the carry split should be 70-30 in favor of Tracy, which means that we should be a bit higher on Tyrone Tracy. I get the Giants don't have the best offensive line. I get the Giants as a whole aren't going to be the best team, and they are facing an absolute gauntlet early on in the season. I was looking at the schedule. I think the first 8 games, I honestly think they might legitimately go 0-8, but Tyrone Tracy is a good pass-catching running back, and early on in training camp, there was a report from early August where this was through 9 training camp practices. Russell Wilson threw the ball 121 times. Tyrone Tracy had 13 catches. The only person ahead of him was Malik Neighbors. So they really are focusing on dumping the ball off to Tyrone Tracy, and that's going to be great for fantasy. And last year, when Tyrone Tracy had 55+% of the snaps, he was the RB21, 13.5 PPR points per game, and had a couple games where he had 19+ fantasy points, 3 games doing so. So, while the Giants might not be the best, they're probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think you can still find some diamonds in the rough here with Tyrone Tracy. Next up, we move on into the F tier here with my running backs, 28 through 29. I've been an Aaron Jones guy for as long as I can remember, when he was in Green Bay last year, when he was in cold like Minnesota. But now there's so many reports of Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones are going to be a 50-50 split, 1A, 1B. And Aaron Jones inside the 5-yard line in 2024, 13 carries for -2 yards. 3 straight years with 7 or fewer touchdowns, when normally he's a guy you're expecting to score 10, and he scored 19 total touchdowns back in 2019. So while I still think Aaron Jones is going to get more of the carries, more of the touches overall for the Minnesota Vikings, if they're trying to use Jordan Mason more, Mason's getting more touches inside the red zone on the goal line, that just deflates the value of Aaron Jones like he's a football in Indianapolis when it's the AFC Championship and you're the Patriots. So I like Aaron Jones. I still want to believe in him, but he just feels kind of meh now. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort before things get really bad at running back. And then we got Joe Mixon. Now, if Joe Mixon plays week 1, this ranking is probably going to look foolish. This is going to look like, Nick, haha, you've been fooled. You always say you're as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins, so why didn't you just believe in him? I've seen some reports where they think Joe Mixon isn't going to play at all this season, and they still haven't came out with anything more. The last report was kind of, they're just waiting until closer to the season to figure out if he's going to be able to go. There's been reports that he's getting a bunch of crazy things done in the offseason. They're doing a bunch of different crazy things to get him back out there. Maybe they're going to clone him, Matthew Stafford style. We shall see. Me, it just seems scary. It just seems scary. He really slowed down towards the end of last season. But I think if he is healthy and he is the guy, he'll definitely outperform running back 29. But look, again, I'm not a fucking doctor. I read what the doctors say. I try to decipher what I think based upon what I've seen in the past. And what I think is this is just a big, big red X, you know? Like the pirates, when they see the black X that's on the ground and they dig and then they find the fucking treasure, right? This is a big no-no. Hey, don't touch me there. That is my no-no square for Joe Mixon. I just don't trust him. I love Joe Mixon deep down for fantasy. I've been talking about for so many years in a row. I've been on the Joe Mixon train, but this year, it just seems too risky. Now we move on into the G tier here with my running backs 30 through 35. Jordan, the numbers Mason, what do they mean? Is my RB 30, 7th in true yards per touch last year, 9th in yards per touch. When he was the lead back, when McCaffrey was hurt, he was the RB 5, 11, 24, and 5. So he can play. He can play, but again, he's splitting touches with Aaron Jones, so I don't think he could truly go nuclear. Here, at number 31, we've got ETN. At number 32, we've got Tank Bigsby. My projection would be probably week 1, ETN's the guy, but that's just a guess because they haven't really went outright and said it. There's been practices where ETN's the guy, practices where Bigsby's the guy, preseason games where it's Bigsby, preseason games where it's ETN. It's a big, big, big guessing game. So what I would say is, if ETN falls, then I'm fine taking him. But at ADP, I don't want ETN. I'm just going to take Tank Bigsby. And the funniest thing is this could just be, we're wrong on both, and then Tutton is the guy. So we'll see what happens. I do like what I saw to Bigsby last year. I didn't like at all what I saw to ETN. ETN's yards per carry, year 1, 5.1, then 3.8, then 3.7. Last year, Bigsby to me looked like the better running back. When he was the guy, he was the RB16 in points per game when he saw over 60+% of the snaps. So I like Tank Bigsby, but again, I wouldn't say I'm like 100% sold, like, oh, sell your fucking house, bet the fucking mortgage on Tank Bigsby, because I think that would be a little bit crazy. Next up, we got Bill Nye, the science guy, Little Bill, Jacory, Krosky, Moret, competing with Eckler, Rodriguez, and Jeremy McNichols. Brian Robinson is in Santa Clara. He's in San Fran. Let's see what happens. Again, I'm just going to take my bet out and place Don Jacory. That's what I'm going to do. Just like how I would say, hey, I have ETN ranked ahead of Bigsby, but I'm probably not drafting ETN at price. I like Bigsby better, right? It's the same thing with Bill. I'm going to draft Bill Nye, the science guy here, ahead of the other running backs and just hope it goes his way. This could easily be a three-way backfield of death where one game it's Eckler, one game Chris Rodriguez runs in there and scores 2 touchdowns. And then the next game, JCM ends up getting 20 touches, right? It just kind of seems up in the air right now. If I had to just bet on the talent, I think that Corey's the most talented out of the back, so that's who I would take. Now, if this was Eckler from like 5 years ago, we'd be all over Eckler like white on rice. Next up, we got J.K. Dobbins. Again, J.K. Dobbins had some good games last year. We've already alluded to it. RB4, RB5, RB6, RB10, and RB10. Pretty good. Pretty good. Had some down games as well. This is a good offense that he's going to be injected into with a great head coach that gets a lot out of running backs. Early on in the season, we might see more Dobbins, and then when Dobbins inevitably stubs his toe and is out for the rest of the season, gets a hangnail, done for the year, then it's going to be not J.K. Dobbins season and be R.J. Harvey season. When's the last time we saw a backfield where the two guys that are the guys have like the dot name? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just 2 letters, J.K., R.J. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. Maybe I don't know. That's just an interesting thought that I had. So many interesting thoughts in my mind. Like, what's that Lonely Island thing? What's his name in the movie? You know what I'm talking about? My Incredible Thoughts. You know. If you know, you know. Pop star. Great movie. I like J.K. Dobbins again. I'm fine taking him late. I like the upside that he has, but I still think eventually R.J. Harvey will end up being the guy. Or even if he doesn't become the guy, he plays too much to where he just kind of scores more fantasy points because he's better than Dobbins. At number 35, we got Jaylen Warren again. I never believed in Jaylen Warren. I will never believe in Jaylen Warren. But if he does start to get the touches early on, maybe he fends off the rookie, plays good. If something was to happen to Caleb Johnson, I think Jaylen Warren then could be a league winner because then they just have to force him the ball. And he has been efficient. The team just doesn't believe in him. At number 36, we got Jaden Bonnie Blue, running back of the Dallas Cowboys, who starts off the H tier, who we didn't pull up on the screen yet. So the H tier is my final running backs, would be our running back 36 through RB40. Jaden Bonnie Blue competing with Javonte, Miles Sanders, and Phil Maffa to be the RB1. I believe that Jaden Blue is going to be playing on Friday night tonight, so we'll see what we get out of him. I don't like Javonte Williams. I tried to buy back into Javonte Williams last year. I tried to believe in him after years of fading him. I fell onto the grenade. I'll take a grenade for you. Shout out to Bruno Mars. And it exploded, and my whole body went everywhere, and it just wasn't good. Javonte Williams fucking sucked cock. It was dreadful. So I'm just going to believe in the young gun, Jaden Blue. Miles Sanders is an unk at this point. Never really that good. So I'll just put my belief in Jaden Blue, who's got a lot of positive coach speak in camp. At number 37, we got Ramondre. Seems like they're going to give, it's Josh McDaniels, so you're going to see a bunch of Ramondre, even though you don't want to. He's going to get a bunch of red zone looks as well. So this could end up just being like a super Walmart version of Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery, meaning like Travion Henderson's like actually good, so he does well. But Ramondre Stevenson, some games just scores 2 touchdowns magically because the Patriots offense is way better now. And then he has those good games to where he finishes inside the top 40, but ultimately you probably never really trust him. That's why I say more like the discount, the Walmart, the dollar store version of that. At number 38, we got 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, my guy. Now, if Joe Mixon doesn't play, then Nick Chubb's going to be the guy. Oh my God, Nick, it's Woody Marks season. Oh my God, Nick, don't you remember Dameon Pierce? Fuck Dameon Pierce, okay? It's Nick Chubb season. Now, Nick Chubb didn't look good last year. I told everyone, do not draft Nick Chubb, but everyone in the comments were like, Nick Chubb is still Nick Chubb. I'm going to take him even though his fucking leg was bending sideways. His leg was sideways. It was bent like a fucking, what is that angle called? A right angle. His leg made a right angle. Same shit that happened in college at Georgia. And people were like, I'm still going to draft him. He's still a great value. And I said, no, he's not a great value. He's a terrible value. And people still drafted him. And we saw what happened. But another year removed from the injury, I think he's going to look good. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. Look, is Nick Chubb the same guy he was back in like 2019, 2020? Fuck no, baby. But if he is the lead back in Houston, the guy's also just built different. He just eats tackles for breakfast. He could be pretty good. At number 39, we got Zach Charbonnet. Now, when Zach Charbonnet was the starter of the Seahawks last year, he was the RB7 in points per game, averaging 19.2 points per game. The point we talked about with the other running back earlier, Kenneth Walker, was if Walker's healthy, he's going to be good. If Walker's not healthy, Charbonnet is going to be really good. The scheme, the zone running scheme for Clint Kubiak with the Seahawks is going to be lethal. It is going to be putting defenses in the figure four, game in and game out. So we should be banging the drum for Charbonnet. We should be banging the drum for Walker. But again, Walker has this injury history, so it's just a little bit more worrisome compared to Zach Charbonnet, who can get much cheaper later. And he'll just have to burn a hole in your bench because he probably won't do much with Walker healthy. But when Walker goes down, your opponent's going down, basically, because you are going to face fuck them with Zach Charbonnet. And at number 40, we got Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen really hasn't put up crazy numbers, but if the rumors are true, if what was happening in preseason is true, and Braylon Allen gets more touches, then he could fall ass backwards into the end zone more. And if the Jets offense plays a little bit better, if he's getting these third down looks, he could actually be okay. If something was to happen to Breece Hall, I think he would be really good. But knock on wood, we don't root for injuries. Guys after Braylon Allen that are not included in today's video, we're going to be talking Austin Eckler, Ajay Spears, Javonte Williams, Dylan Sampson, Cam Skattebo, Jerome Ford, Ray Davis, Brian Robinson. That's the range after this. So if you're like, Nick, who do you have ranked as your running back 69? Check the rankings on Patreon. I love you guys so much. Hope you did enjoy today's video. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video whether you are new to the channel or not. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. I love you guys so much. Check out the Patreon to get my rankings. Link in the video description. Love you a long time. Thank you guys so much for 40,000 subscribers. Without you guys, the whole ship sinks. I love you so much. Have a great one, as always. Good boy.